listening to the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
This is Pharmacy Crossroads with your host, community pharmacy business veteran, the road trip guy, Bruce Nealand. Community pharmacy is at a crossroads. Pharmacy owners across the country are evolving their pharmacy businesses and making a bigger impact on their communities. Bruce talks with the most innovative community pharmacy owners, pharmacy industry experts, and people who are passionate about the business of pharmacy and its impact on community healthcare. Pharmacy Crossroads is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. And now, here's our host, Bruce Nealand.
Well, hello, Pharmacy Crossroads podcast listeners. This is Bruce Nealand, and boy, am I excited for a program that we have today. It's a bit unusual, and that's exciting for me. As every pharmacy owner knows, as everybody in the independent pharmacy industry knows, margins are a problem in pharmacy. And one of those things that I have felt passionate about for years is the opportunity for pharmacies to become more effective in managing and marketing the front end. And believe me, with DIR fee, the DIR apocalypse coming, there's no better time than now to get serious about that. So today I brought together a round table of colleagues of mine who I admire, who are bringing services to the pharmacy that allow profit to expand. So I've got 4 industry experts on the line with us today, and I will ask each of them in order to kind of just take a minute and tell us who they are, and then we'll dig into what they're doing to help pharmacies improve profitability. So ladies first, Dr. Gail, would you tell us a little bit about you and your amazing company?
Sure. Thank you so much, Bruce, for including me in this group. I'm definitely the newcomer on the block, and I feel very honored to be with you guys this morning. I'm a surgeon by training and have had the opportunity to be in the medical device industry for many years and developed a number of products, most of which were very complex in women's healthcare. But just recently, over the last several years, I've gotten into the consumer packaged good space and have developed a new product for nasal hygiene called NasoCleanse. And I have become familiar with the independent pharmacy space, which to me is a really exciting experience. It's been a steep learning curve, and I'm really just enjoying the ride for now, and had the fortune of meeting Bruce, and am now really excited to meet Chris, Breck, and Johnny and have this fun discussion.
Well, and thank you for that. And we will go to Johnny Kello. Johnny, tell us who you are and what you do.
Right. First, thanks again for having me on. My name is Johnny Kello. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Match Square. Match Square is an online marketplace that helps small independent pharmacies connect with small brands across the country. So we're born out of our parent company, MatchRx, which we started about 13 years ago. Many of the independents out there have heard about MatchRx. We've got about 7,000 independents on our platform. And Match Square was born from the requests of our members asking us to help them with their front end. And so since our launch in October of 22, we've been fortunate enough to bring on about 800 brands, small independent brands with over 90,000 SKUs. And the reason that, independents like what we're doing is that it allows them to find products that their competition doesn't have or can't carry. Everybody from Walmart to CVS and Walgreens. And so it allows them to distinguish themselves from, the big box retailers. So we've been happy with the early results, and it's just good to be able to help independents in one more other way.
Well, finding things that they can sell and that appeal to people at profitable prices is a major accomplishment, and you've done that. We'll get into more detail in a little bit. So Brett, tell us a little bit about ServeRx and what you're doing to improve profitability in pharmacies.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. I'm excited to be here. I think you and I have known each other for over 20 years now. So this
It's
is
about
fun.
that. Back, you had hair back when we first met, I think.
I still have hair now. It just grows lower, just not on the top of my head any longer. But yeah, it's exciting to be helping community pharmacies, and I have focused on that for 20 years now. Helping the independents get fair reimbursements. And so I'm a co-founder of ServeRx. We're based out of Phoenix, Arizona, but we work with pharmacies in all 50 states as their default processor. And my big goal is to remove the middleman, and the middleman in pharmacy is the pharmacy benefit manager, the PBM. Our mission is so important that when I left my former company that was acquired by one of those evil PBMs, they actually filed a TRO, a temporary restraining order, to keep me silent for as long as they could, so that I couldn't tell community pharmacies what was about to happen to their reimbursements. So we're here to help community pharmacies, and I've been with the new company, the new and improved third-party processor called ServeRx now for over 10 years.
Well, there's a personal joke in there somewhere about if they can figure out a way to keep you silent, that's a remarkable accomplishment.
For only 2 years.
Yeah.
My voice was heard again.
So Chris, who are you?
Hey, Bruce, thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Chris Ray. I'm the head of pharmacy at BioLite. I've spent about a decade helping independent pharmacies, first with McKesson as a sales rep consultant, and now with BioLite. BioLite is the only clinical hydration product that has the same amount of electrolytes as an IV bag. Right now, we're currently in about 3,000 independent pharmacies. And part of that was me going around and visiting stores with samples. So I'd say I've seen about 2,000 to 2,500 independent pharmacies personally. So it's been exciting to visit with them and see what works and what doesn't work.
Hey, Pharmacy Podcast listeners, this is Bruce Nealand with a shout out to the Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, better known as IPC. Over the years, it's been my pleasure to work with IPC, and they have a number of programs that help pharmacy owners do more and be better. I invite you to check them out at www.ipcrx.com. Thanks. Well, and thank you for that, and I'll do a little boasting here. So Chris and I are proud to have co-authored an article that has appeared in this month's issue of Total Pharmacy, and we talk about ways to improve the front end. That's kind of a passion for both of us. So ladies and gentlemen, with that as an introduction, you now know a little bit about each other. Does anybody have a question they want to ask about somebody else's company and product, or do I need to put you on the spot and force a question on you? Who's got something that they want to ask?
I do.
Go ahead, Dr. Gale.
Well, Chris, I'd love to learn a little bit more about BioLite. Is that an oral product?
Yes, Gail, it is. It's essentially an oral IV bag that a physician created when his wife was going through chemo treatments for breast cancer. And now the pharmacies are applying it all over the board. It's versatile. So anything from dealing with the summer heat this summer, people working outside, and active lifestyle, sports, all the way to stomach bugs, flu, and oncology patients. So it's a neat product that pharmacies can connect to their patient populations, and it requires a little bit of education. But once you establish that connection, it really gets some momentum in the stores.
That's great, because I spent most of my career as a breast cancer surgeon. And, that's something we struggle with very often post-surgery, is people being able to stay hydrated. And now that basically they kick you out of the hospital, the day after your surgery or the same day, I think a product like BioLite would be very important. I also have found the independent pharmacies are critical in helping to manage post-operative patients. So products like that and other products that you could put together from the front end of the store and offer to post-op patients, I think is a real opportunity for the independents.
Yeah, Gail, I think that leads into one of the best practices that we're trying to communicate to the stores is integrated communication with providers and discharge planners in your community. If you have products that are different, that really provide a health and wellness solution, that gives you an excuse to go talk to the providers in your community and not only sell products, but sell your services as a pharmacy. And then I've seen a lot of the stores really be successful developing that relationship by customizing the front end to providers that are asking, will you stock this for my patients?
Well,
go ahead, Gail.
Sorry, I had one more comment. It brings me back to what I think, Bruce, you said earlier, which are the 3 Ps, right? Products, people, and profits. And I guess you can add a 4th one, which is providers. So the independents create kind of a little community out there to support people's health and well-being, and not only from a preventive standpoint, I guess we can add a 5th P, but really it's just a very unique opportunity to create that network in every little community. It's something I'm just learning about that I think is very powerful. Ooh, a 6th B.
Hey, well, Dr. Gell, let me jump in real quick too, because this is a product that that I promote to every one of our pharmacy partners because of how well it really does work. And you think about that, you know, on full disclosure here, I am an ambassador for BioLite and an evangelical speaker because I absolutely love the product. And I suffer with headaches. If I feel one coming on and I drink one of those BioLites, it absolutely just kills it. But you know, think about 150% more electrolytes than the leading sports drink, but without all the sugar or artificial sweeteners. So an amazing product. I highly recommend it, and I have quite a few people that I know that are suffering or have children that are suffering with, you know, going through chemo right now, and this product is amazing for that.
Mm.
So I'm going to take charge here for a minute and ask Dr. Gale, as a surgeon, I fell in love with your story about this notion of a surgeon scrubs up and puts all the gowns on and they clean the place where they're going to do their cutting, but nobody bothers to clean the nose of the patient. What did that lead to?
Well, I appreciate the question. So as a surgeon, I learned fairly early on that the nose is a pretty dirty place, and we all are colonized with bacteria, let alone viruses and allergens and toxins that we breathe in through our nose. And I just started to wonder, you know, why are we not cleaning the nose? And it turns out that studies have shown if you decontaminate the nose before surgery, you can actually decrease postoperative infection by 60%, which is a huge number. And so that kind of set me out on a mission to create something very simple and convenient and comfortable that is effective in helping to decontaminate the nose, not to sterilize it, but something very similar to a toothbrush, just like a toothbrush for your nose. And we've done that. Our team has created an anatomically designed, very comfortable applicator with a proprietary gel that contains benzalkonium chloride as the active ingredient. And it can even be used daily, multiple times a day. It can be used when you travel or for allergies, and for CPAP users, certainly before and after surgery. And we're fairly, like I said, the new kid on the block, but we are finding tremendous, overwhelming acceptance of the product. And we're finding that we fill a niche in the market that is not filled by sprays and rinses and prescription sprays. So we're really excited about getting the world to be comfortable with cleaning their nose and nasal hygiene. We think that everyone will be healthier for it. And it's just a very simple product that does have a nice margin for the independent pharmacists, and that's where we have started. So we've rolled out the product in the independent pharmacies and have found it to be very successful.
And I'm going to jump in here with an editorial insight. So I met Dr. Gale by mistake over LinkedIn probably 8 or 9 months ago and wondered about her. And she gave me the names of 3 pharmacy owners who I had never met. And I sent each of them just a simple email saying, hey, I understand you're stocking this product. Before I do any work with her, I'd like to know what you think of it. And I had hoped I would hear from 1 or 2 with a perfunctory email that said, yeah, if you want to call, give me a call. I'll be happy to talk. The next day, I got phone calls from all 3 of those people, none of them knowing who I was and touting how they are effectively selling it in their pharmacies. Allergy season, one guy's got a travel clinic and does vaccinations, and it's part of what people take when they go on cruises and those kinds of things. It was just a remarkable endorsement. And it is the kind of thing that pharmacists can sell. And that's why Dr. Gale's part of the program. So, Johnny, I'm going to turn to you for a minute. I don't know whether you have, as part of your Match Square opportunity, have you ever talked to the NasoCleanse people or the BioLite people? Are they on your list of companies? And tell us just a little bit more about how your Amazon for independent pharmacy works.
Sure. Thanks, Bruce. And stop putting me on the spot like that, because I'd have to ask my sales team if both BioLite and Gale's product, the nasal cleaning, is on the site. But if it's not, we should absolutely have it, because we just, as I mentioned earlier, we just launched in October. We already have about 1,100 plus pharmacies on our site. So we'd love to introduce both those products and actually highlight them to our members. So again, Gail and Chris, I think we definitely will be having ongoing conversations, post the podcast here. But just, yeah. So just to address or answer the question about how we work, it's it's very similar to marketplaces that we're all accustomed to, but Match Square is specifically a B2B marketplace, meaning it's the brands and only selling to retailers. Specifically, in our case, we focus on health, wellness, and lifestyle products. And over that time, the challenge with marketplaces or other marketplaces is that if a pharmacist goes on to a general marketplace, it doesn't narrow the focus of the type of products that pharmacists sell in their stores. And so our thought was, well, let's take what we've already done successfully with pharmacists and narrow the search for them, make their job easier, because we know how busy pharmacists are. We know that they're constantly filling scripts, they're behind the counter, and any way we can make the front end selling process, the selection of those products easier, that's our goal. We have sales teams that literally call, the individual pharmacist, asks them several questions about the demographics of their location, what type of products they like to sell, and then over and above that, introducing them to products that they do sell and new products that they may not be aware of that really do sell in other marketplaces. So,
well, and to make it clear, you're a network, not a wholesaler. So your people find manufacturers, find products, hook them up with on the website. The product ships from the manufacturer, but is billed through you. And you kind of serve as a clearinghouse for that type of thing, right?
That's exactly right. That's a very great description, Bruce. Again, we don't see the product and we don't touch the product. It goes directly from the brand's warehouses into the pharmacy stores. and they travel through generally UPS or FedEx. And if you place the product orders, depending on the season, depending on the holiday, we'll highlight the type of products that are being sold for that season or that holiday, and then and for the front end, and also obviously OTC products that the likes of the BioLite and what Gail's offering on the nasal cleanser. And I'd love to even get a further discussion with Breck, really about our other our sister marketplace, our Match RX, because we know that our independents are always getting question, pushback on all their claims, and we're constantly getting inquiries related to audits from PBMs to our members. So whole different discussion, Breck, but I'd love to ask more about that as well.
So to that point, Breck, I mean, your network handles workmen's compensation claims. Is there ways you have of helping pharmacists get access to people who need workman's claim prescriptions? What's the marketing support behind your effort?
Yeah, appreciate the question, Bruce. And let's look back at 20 years ago when we first met. All the reimbursements on all programs were better back then. I think about 36% profit margin on insurance billings for community pharmacies, and today that's only about 3 to 5% profit margin. Well, workers' comp is still that one protected entitlement program that should have higher reimbursement. Each state has a state fee schedule that states what the reimbursement should be. But what the middleman does, the PBM gets in the middle of that, drives down the contracted rates for the pharmacy to take a much lower managed care rate, and then they make the spread. We estimate that the PBM is pocketing about $100 for every transaction. They're paying the pharmacy who owns the medication, who consults with the patient and has all the overhead. They're paying them about $4 or $5, and then the PBM puts $100 in their own pocket. So it's a real injustice that we constantly fight with. But 1/3 of all work comp falls outside of the network of those big PBMs. So Optum, Express Scripts, CVS Health, or Caremark, they don't deal with a lot of the self-insured employer groups, which is about 1/3 of those work comp claims. So that's where the pharmacy should be making, the $90 reimbursement on meloxicam instead of $4 reimbursement. We can help them with that. And how they market that is to the pain doctors, the orthopedics, even the podiatrists. Let them know that they have a no hassle, no delays, no out-of-pocket program for their injured patients to get their prescriptions filled.
So we're back to this notion that pharmacists need to get out and go call on doctors.
Yep, we see about a 14 to 15% increase in claims volume when a pharmacy gets involved in detailing physicians.
That's too attractive to pass up, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, I'm going to go back to you because, part of the theme here is what can be done besides just putting up a sign in the store and putting a product on the shelf. And you talked a little bit about BioLite as a physician, a doctor detailing tool. You've told some other stories about creative pharmacists doing things in their community. Share some of those with us.
Yeah, I think that the general notion in the past has been like, hey, the front end is a passive income option for our stores. But Johnny said something great, that we are health, wellness, and lifestyle retailers, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't have commodity-based front ends that are passively designed for income and expect to increase your front end margins. That space you own or rent, it needs to be an asset. And the key, like Dr. Gail was talking about with nasal cleanse, is education to your customers or to referral sources So find differentiated products that Johnny has on his website, or products like Nasal Cleanse, BioLite, that connect to optimal health and recovery, and become the healthcare destination that you are. Change the mind from drug dispenser to healthcare destination, and use the power of your personal relationships with your community and educate consumers to the best of your ability. And if you tell me, hey, I don't have time, well, there are things that you can do to proactively manage your workflow and reallocate that time. And also, please incentivize your staff and educate your staff to feel confidently that they understand the products in your front end and that they can speak to the consumer about that. That will take you from being a passive front end operator to a destination that community members will drive to your store and shop your store, as opposed to shopping big box or Amazon.
Chris, you hit on so many points that we advocate for with our members. We remind them that you do have a front end there, and that you're paying rent, or you own that front end, and that you should be using every square inch of that store, including the front end, particularly with how much abuse they're getting on the prescription filled side of the business. There's a reason, CVS and Walgreens have 10 and 14,000 square foot stores. It's not the pharmacy piece, it's the front end piece. And the margins and the front end could supersede what they're filling. And I think pharmacists have to first or start to do a little bit more about putting their business person hat on a little bit more often, and be a little bit selfish in that way, and being able to service their customers, their patients, in more way than one. My partner, Gabe Zaweda, owns 5 different independent pharmacies. His front end, without getting into too many details, is tremendously successful. And we're talking about only 1,200 square feet of front end space that they carry, but their margins on every one of those products are better than 50% of sale price. So there's a big reason why that front end is so important. And I think it's today more than ever more important to utilize it, get educated about it, and get products that are different than everybody else, so that you do become, like Chris said, a destination. And to Gabe's credit, his wife, who's the merchandiser for their store, they've been very successful following that pattern.
So I'm going to interject here and ask Dr. Gale a question. One of the things that Chris and I wrote about in our article that just came out is the benefit of doing manufactured demo days, or inviting key partners to come in and chat a little bit about their product. Dr. Gale, I seem to recall that you had done an open house with one of your customers in Southern California. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works, and how does somebody arrange for something like that?
Sure. I'll tell you, it has been a phenomenal experience. So we had an open house at the travel clinic with Dr. Brian Lynn down in Newport Coast Pharmacy. And I was overwhelmed with, number one, how many people showed up, including the Chamber of Commerce from Orange County. And we provided, light snacks, and we had samples of nasal cleanse for everyone, and just had a chance to talk to people. Boots on the ground, I think, is the way to go. From that experience, we offered it to a number of other independents, including Mickey Fine Pharmacy in Beverly Hills, and we're having another one next week. And it's turning out to be a really great way, not only for the pharmacist to see how popular our product is among people, but also for us to understand what people are looking for in the category. So I think the independents are very well positioned. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of when managed care came in and surgeons were struggling to keep up with insurance reimbursements and all the changes that were occurring all the time. And then we went more towards concierge care in medicine. I think the independents serve that concierge type of practice that people are starving for right now in the medical community. So it's a huge opportunity. We typically will partner with the independent pharmacist to put an ad in a local paper, choose a time of year or an event that is happening in the community, piggyback on top of that, have the open house before it, make sure the product obviously is stocked up in the pharmacy. And we're just seeing great success with that. As you mentioned, I think newer products like ours, we're very cognizant of the margins that the independent pharmacists want to see. And so we've got over a 50% margin as well on the product. And educating patients, educating physicians, I think the independents are in the perfect position to do that and to offer things that you can't get at CVS. Look, I think everybody dreads walking into a large retailer these days. It's just not the place you want to be. Sick people are there and there are long lines and you can't get any service. So I think, Bruce, you providing these tips to the independent pharmacists, as well as Johnny and Breck, obviously providing a service. I just think the opportunity, it's like the world is your oyster.
Well, and that's kind of the theme is a little bit of creativity, a little bit of thought, a little bit of effort, and it doesn't take a lot of money. And
it can be fun.
And it can be fun. God bless you for saying that. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting close, so I'm going to go back to each of you and ask you to make one final comment about how you think you can help a pharmacy owner be more profitable, and leave us your web address. And we'll start with Breck and ask you to go first. Breck, kind of wrap up your part of the program here. Take about a minute.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Bruce. And I'd invite every independently owned pharmacy owner to join one of our community pharmacy new revenue roundtables. We talk about all of these very things and how to go out and capture new revenue, how to get fairly treated with insurance, and to bring in non-insurance cash payment, which is right in line with Dr. Gell's product, with everything that's going on with, BioLite, and bringing that into the store. And then Johnny, I look forward to learning more about his program and what he's doing. But yeah, join a new revenue roundtable hosted by ServRx. And that email or the web address for ServRx is what? Yep, www.servrx, like prescription.com. Great. Johnny, you're next.
Right. Again, thanks, Bruce, for having all of us on here. I learned a lot in this little short period of time. For us, it's all about staying focused on the front end and getting pharmacies to think a little bit more like business people as well as pharmacists. And I think they can serve themselves and their customers and their patients, a lot further by doing that. As everybody mentioned here, there's uniqueness in being that independent and being able to offer that extra special service or product that the big boys don't. And I think that is much more attractive than ever before now that, the world is kind of changing and it's becoming more, I think it's communal and people want to stay closer to home. So if you can offer both that personal touch and unique product mix on your front end, I think that you can find customers for life. And I think that, it's just good, smart business and just better patient care.
So how do people find you, Johnny?
Oh, sure. Sorry about that. It's the same thing, www.matchsquare.com. And then you can always call our office for any help that you need with just personal service on how to navigate the site, or just getting kicked off on signed up and, have us help you initially shop the site if you'd like.
Thank you. That's www.matchsquare.com. Chris, I'm going to let you go next and we'll finish with the lady.
Bruce, and I just want to say you've done an excellent job of putting together this panel. I've been on Breck's roundtables. It's got excellent information. I looked at Johnny's website, such unique vendors that I see being successful in pharmacy. And I've done the research on Gail's data, and it just looks like an exceptional product. In regards to me, you can reach out at drinkbiolight.com. Whether you need help utilizing our product to drive people into the store or drive revenue, I'd be glad to help. If you just want to talk about pharmacy and what's working today, I love to connect with anybody in this industry, and I'm very passionate about making sure that our community pharmacies have a sustainable model moving forward.
That's www.drinkbiolight.com. Dr. Gale, been an honor to meet you. Close us out here with your strongest pitch.
Well, thank you so much, Bruce, for having me again. I just have really enjoyed this. I always learn something, and Chris, Breck, and Johnny clearly are top of the pile. So really appreciate it. My mind's going about 1,000,000 miles an hour. The independent pharmacists that I have met are some of the nicest, smartest, intuitive people who I think patients are clearly benefiting from. And again, I just want to echo what Johnny said. There's a huge opportunity out there to create business for these folks, and we want to help however we can. Chris, in terms of BioLight, I'm thinking we can put together a package for surgical patients where they get some nasal cleanse on the front end before their surgery to decolonize their nose at home. And then they use BioLight post-op to stay hydrated. I think that would really help surgical outcomes. So these roundtables are critically important for all of us. We want to help you get started on nasal cleanse. We have starter kits available that include a little display for the point of sale, and it has all the key points about the product. And I think all of us want to lead healthier, happier lives, and people are willing to invest in that. So let us help you.
And that's www.nasocleanse.com. Naso is NASOCLENZ. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And thank you so much.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, pharmacy owners and pharmacy fans, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Pharmacy Crossroads, where our goal is to help independent pharmacies do more and be better. That's all until next time. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Pharmacy Crossroads. If you're interested in talking with Bruce, please contact the show. Visit pharmacycrossroads.com. We look forward to hearing from you.